What's up, everybody? This is Bob's Three-Toed Warriors from Studio 1329 with the Word on the Street Season 1, Episode 3, titled The Funny Little Fella. Why did I pick that for a show title? Because today I have Mr. Kyle August from the Fantasy Football Fellas joining me on the show. What's up, buddy? Long time no see.
Man, I don't know how I feel about that title, but it's all good, man. I'm pretty pumped to be chatting with you, man, because this is we talked about bringing you on to the fellas, and then you beat us to the punch, starting the Word on the Streets, the official public version now, man. So
That's right.
I dig it, man.
Going public, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Take a little sip of my unofficial sponsor, Mr. Maker's Mark. That was brought to you by you, I think, last weekend. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Happy birthday. Glad you can enjoy a little drink on me. That's fine. That's the only way to do it now. Unfortunately, I can't buy anything in the bar. So
there we go. All right, so you can watch and subscribe to all the shenanigans on YouTube. Just look for Bob's Three-Toed Warriors. I don't think there's another one out there. You can catch the pod on Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcasts, some other ones, and soon, eventually, I should say, Apple iTunes. We'll see. Kyle, where can people find you, sir?
Yeah, man, you can check out the Fantasy Football Fellas every Tuesday, wherever podcasts are found. And then you can follow me on Twitter at KyleFFFellas. Man, I'm doing some writing right now for Red Shirts Fantasy Football and for Fantasy Pros, obviously talking Dynasty and Fantasy Football, and then doing some NASCAR DFS stuff right now too, as that's the only thing going. So yeah, man, just give me a follow over there. You'll be able to find all that junk. But making the podcast rounds, I was excited to make this appearance, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. You visit with people like, the Hitman, and all these big guys, and it's like, oh, here I am, like a comedian at a Walmart strip store. So thanks for coming on,
dude. It's funny because, and you'll find this as like and you've come on Twitter. It's been funny because you and I know each other for a long time, and you just have a way, to just kind of connect with people,
Sure.
Just get people to talk, and on Twitter especially, man, you've been connected with a lot of people that I haven't even had the pleasure with, not as active on there, so I've been seeing you picking up. But I would say over the time that we've been doing the Fellas podcast, we've definitely had some some really high profile guests or whatever. So like when I'm talking to people that don't know anything about the podcast, like, I've talked to Matt Harmon, who at the time was with NFL Network, and and Mike Wright with the Ballers, and like Dave Richard with CBS. But like some of the best interviews, those guys are great, and the fact that they're even willing to take time to hang out with us even for 20 minutes is awesome. But sometimes there are a lot of great people in this industry, so sometimes even the better interviews are with just the guys that are just grinding it out, doing this on the side for fun. They got the day job, so it's definitely a different dynamic when you speak with those people. But yeah, man, it's a lot of fun. Podcasting is man, it's an awesome hobby to have. It's a lot of work, but it's good stuff. So I was pumped to see you take a little dive in here.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Let's do it. So you never know what's going to happen when you're watching the videos and how I'm going to torment Kyle. Y'all can't see this kind of stuff, but I can see this kind of stuff. Oh, what's that?
Mm-hmm. If you want to go that route, I can't go get it, but there,
I
there.
can see it.
There we go. Yeah, you guys can't see it from here, but that says back-to-back champ in that league, baby.
Piss off. Fuck off.
Hey, man, it's all good. We've you and I have taken home some pretty decent hardware the last couple of years, I feel like, in the leagues we're in. There's the ring. Yeah. Yeah, took me down in that one. So just damn it, dude. The ones that you lose sting more than sting more than the glory of winning sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just
damn it. Those of you who weren't watching on YouTube there, we were showing off each other's trophies and competing leagues in the same years. We have way too much crossover in leagues, but it's good times.
Dude, yeah. It's funny, man, because like I had a couple startups this year, and you were trying to limit some leagues. Seth, my co-host over the Fellas, was trying to limit leagues, cut back. And so like, my go-to people, to ask to join leagues, couldn't play or didn't want to this year add those leagues. So that's fine. But you definitely, when you kind of take a look back at all the leagues that you're in on an annual basis, I'm like, okay, I'm in all these leagues with Seth, or I'm in all these leagues with James. There's definitely, I think between like K-Val and Fellas Dynasty, I think that is like 6 crossover people in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, when you find committed owners, man, it's hard to find those types of people. So
Yeah.
especially if you want to keep it local.
Yeah. So draft went down without an issue, and you got to be pumped because you've been taking that, moving from there into writing some things and wrote some articles. As you said, your background definitely has a little NASCAR feel to it.
Yes, sir.
But you've been writing some serious articles. Recently, a little NASCAR DFS article. You had some good winners on there too.
Yeah, it was pretty good. This was the first time I've dove into writing. I played NASCAR DFS just because I'm a fan of the sport. Obviously, DFS is a whole different ball game. You have to really factor in strategies and those types of things. So it was different, and I wasn't 100% sure to just be honest with you guys. Like I wasn't 100% sure what I was doing. I knew like what I was going to look for, and I knew who I thought would be good, and I knew kind of what stats and where to find things. But honestly, it just came up to opportunity. Like I write for Fantasy Pros for some fantasy football stuff. There's probably 20, 25 people on that roster, right now, as far as when they throw articles out, people are just snatching up those topics. So it's hard to get, as a freelance, it's hard to get opportunities more than maybe 1 or 2 a month. So, just with the situation we're in right now, every site is starving for content. So for us to, for NASCAR to take center stage, and for me to be able to jump in an opportunity to go to Fantasy Pros and be like, hey, you guys don't really cover this, but I can help you out, and I'll just do it. So first week, for those of you that aren't familiar, NASCAR made their return to the track after 2-month layoff, like most pro sports. So I wrote an article over at Fantasy Pros for the 2 races at Darlington that were last Sunday and Wednesday. I got the winner right. So if you probably won some cash on Sunday.
Yeah, that's Harvick, right?
Yep. So he took home the victory. He was my go-to guy. I ended up getting 1st, 3rd, and 8th of guys I recommended. So that was good.
You did. You hit the wrong Bush.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch.
He had a good night on Tuesday. He had a good night on Wednesday, man. He's always pricey because he's so damn good. But Wednesday was pretty good. I felt like it's hard to write one article for 2 contests.
Sure.
Because they change prices and the strategy does differ. So, but hopefully people found it was interesting. If you're a NASCAR fan, check it out. If you're not, you just want to play some DFS, definitely, still check it out. There's nothing else going on. What are you going to do? Fucking Korean baseball? I mean, so new article will go up either Friday or Saturday, the week of Memorial Day. There's a big race on Sunday, racing again that following Wednesday. So there's a ton of opportunities right now to get on that. So again, Kyle FFL is on Twitter. You'll be able to check that out. But
sure.
Yeah, man. So I can't remember. Have you been to a race before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here in the soon to be closed down Chicago.
Yeah. Fuck, man, if they close that down, I'm going to be – it's 40 minutes from us. It's perfect. Yeah. You can literally drive there, sleep in your own bed. It's cheap. It's cheap as hell. I mean, but, it's just we're up north, bro. It's not necessarily the hot spot. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man.
It's all good. So another article you put out was some veteran winners. So you put in Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller. Who's going to be the man there?
I think it's going to be Cooks, just based off of, I know that they both kind of have some injuries. Cooks has dealt with concussions. He's got whacked pretty good in a few games. Obviously, people remember that Super Bowl game. And I just think he's in line for the most targets. Fuller is extremely boom bust. And even coming from me, like, I don't mind that variance in my players. Like, I'll take, I know, like, okay, yeah, he's going to crap the bed once in a while, but damn, when he hits, he can hit. The problem is you need a guy to hit like at least probably 30% of the time to, Fuller is like a one-hit wonder every single year because one, he's never on the field. Availability, bro, you got to be there. And, I'm just not taking the shot on Fuller in 2020. There will be plenty of targets to go around. Maybe Randall Cobb becomes a little bit more fantasy relevant. Maybe Kiki QT comes out of the doghouse and gets some looks. But I think Cooks is, he's been a 1,000-yard receiver every year since his rookie year, prior to last year when that offense in LA made the shift. I think Cooks is really, really talented. My thing about Cooks is I want to know what the hell is going on. Why does this guy keep getting moved on teams? He definitely, he pisses somebody off or rubs somebody the wrong way.
He pisses in people's cornflakes.
I guess, dude, because
was that you?
That wasn't
Years
me.
ago?
That wasn't me. I didn't piss in someone's cornflakes.
No, not you. You said somebody did.
Oh, dude, no, I did. Never. Yeah, I did not. I did not make that joke.
I might have had
But
the wrong people
yeah,
crisscrossed.
but
That'd be
dude, Cooks does something to everywhere he goes. He was his first round pick in New Orleans. They get rid of him after they get Michael Thomas. They ship him out. New England for a year. Then he's in LA, gets a contract, but that didn't last long. Now he's in Houston. Like, the dude definitely lucks out on landing with good quarterbacks.
Yeah, he does.
So I'm buying in, bro. I have Cooks inside my top 20. Just for 2020, I'm buying up in Dynasty where I can. I was just in a startup where he fell pretty far, and unfortunately, just I didn't have the opportunity to take him. But man, like I think he's a great value right now in Dynasty. He's still super young, and he's paired with Deshaun Watson. So I think it's Cooks pretty easily for me.
Yeah, I agree. Here's someone. Is he more of a mirage? Is he a real deal? Is he actually broken out, or did he just have the luck of being hyper targeted by a crazy man? Preston Williams versus Devante Parker. Parker. I mean, how long did I ride that damn wagon?
Hey, man, at least you had a few shares last year, though, still. Right?
No, I traded him away last year before I started to Andy.
Yeah, I did have him in a league that he was like a big piece in a trade, like his rookie year, second year or whatever. And everyone's touting him as, the next AJ Green and all that. And he just was horrible. And last year, I think I traded him straight up for, I think it was for D.D. Westbrook. He wasn't horrible, but I was just like, whatever. I don't want this guy on my team anymore. And then of course he hits. So I'm sure a lot of people were in that boat, but man, the situation in Miami is interesting. If you told me that Fitzmagic was going to be the man, he's obviously, like you kind of alluded to, he's crazy, right? And you love that for fantasy because this guy he doesn't care. He's going to chuck the ball. So if he's going to be the starter for, the season, man, I'm buying into this Dolphins offense. New offensive coordinator Chan Gailey in Miami. He's worked with Fitzpatrick in Buffalo and in New York. I believe it was the 2015 season, bro. They blew up there with Fitzmagic, 30-plus touchdowns. Brandon Marshall had a huge year, double-digit touchdowns. Derek Decker was the number 2 wide receiver. That's perfect.
Roll my Broncos. Roll them out.
Perfect, man. But I mean, I think Tua's going to get a shot. And as much as I like Tua's dynasty prospects, and I'm taking him in Superflex really high for 2020, I'm a little bit concerned. So I like that. So it's tough to buy in to see what we, from Parker last year when he was a top 10 wide receiver. I think there were winners though. In the article, I highlighted him because even though there's some uncertainty of the quarterback situation and you got to kind of build that in, they didn't add anybody on offense. Whether it was free agency, they spent a ton of money on defense. On the offense, they added nothing. They added Breida, through a draft pick trade, which was fine. They need a run game there. But, this defense is going to be a little bit more improved. So the offense, I think, is going to be not be relied on as much to, bring them back into games. So, but I think they're winners, though, just from the standpoint of, man, I think, there's no competition. They're showing some faith in Preston Williams. He was undrafted free agent a year ago, and they decided they weren't going to bring anybody else in. So either all Tua's weapons are, either on other teams or in college right now, or these guys are going to get their opportunity with Tua over the next couple seasons. So I like these guys, though. I think longer term, once we kind of see what Tua is.
Any small glimmer that Fitz could do well enough, have a well enough winning before wherever their bye week is, I didn't look at where it is, season, with his old coach to hang in there and let Tua heal for just another year. Let him learn. Let him acclimate. Could that be a real thing?
I would love to see it. I mean, I think right now that division is wide open. With New England no longer there, and no one's
Stidham, bro.
I want to see how that plays out. Freaking Patriots, dude. Somehow they're gonna, like, we're all sitting here bashing them, like, what the hell are they doing? Why is Cam Newton even out here and you're not doing anything? Andy Dalton, he is now signed, like, nothing. And then, if they figure it out with Jared freaking Stidham, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what we'll do. It's just hand them the trophy every year. But Buffalo is in a good position. They made the playoffs last couple of years. I think that their defense is fairly strong. They added Stephon Diggs, but I do think as long as they are in contention for the division, which is that hopefully they just continue to ride Fitzmagic. The issue is that, this is a team that hasn't won in a while. They're still kind of getting acclimated to the new regime there. So I think there's a chance. It's not impossible, but that's what you need if you're relying on Fitzmagic as a super flex quarterback or either of these wide receivers for production. As much as I love these guys long term, it's going to be tough with 2 out the gate.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Rams and let's talk about the Higbee Everett debacle because I love some Higbee.
Yes.
Higbee.
How did that start? That was like a DFS dart
That
throw?
was totally a DFS bullcrap. I'm like, I need $800 more. I'll take this tight end Higbee, and then he goes off for like 2 touchdowns that week. I'm like, Higbee for the rest of the next 2 years.
Oh, I know. I'm aware. And all everybody listening to the show and follows you on Twitter will freaking know that too.
Yeah, somehow every time I type Higbee, it auto corrects to all caps. I don't get it. So okay, I love me some Higbee.
Yeah,
but Everett was the man as far as he was until he got hurt.
Yep,
and then it's a new season.
Right. So that's the thing, man. You mentioned it. Everett had a nice run there, and he was finally. Tight ends take so freaking long to, break out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough position. And Everett is somebody that I really liked based off of, McVay handpicked him his first year there. He had the prior, Jordan Reed years and all that when McVay was in Washington. And then he handpicks in the second round Gerald Everett, right? So I had Everett on a lot of teams, and he pretty much Devante Parkered me. I cut bait. I was done. And then he hits. And Higbee did nothing until Everett went down. So it's easy to kind of, color by numbers a little bit and be like, okay, well, it's still Everett, right? But Higbee though had such an amazing
Drew Brees
run.
Is back. Let me put Brees back in and take out the backup.
Exactly. But Higbee's run was so good, man, and they've given him a contract. They like him there. You have to factor that in, even though not all of that is always fantasy relevant. If you can still draw some conclusions from that. So I think Higbee is definitely I think out of the 2 straight up in a vacuum, which I've never met anyone in a vacuum, but if they had to make that decision, I'd go Higbee. I think that he did enough. This offense is going to look different, than what we saw the last few years, the 3 wide receivers and Gurley being leaned on. This could be RBC, multiple tight ends, but I'd lean Higbee. The issue is he's getting ranked super high right now.
Getting the hype machine.
I'll take, when you factor that in, I'd rather take the little bit of a scratch off with Everett that, hey, when they were both on the field, Everett got the looks. Yeah, and see how it goes, and
or take the safe bet and just roll over to a different developing guy and end up tight end 7 or 6 because he got 1 extra touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of risk with Higbee because you're gonna have to pay the price, and if he doesn't hit, now you're in Streamsville. But if you take the risk on Everett and he doesn't hit, you're already there. Who cares? So you just have to play it out. But that's a difficult situation because it's not one that I'm going to be. I'm not going to be a part of it, unfortunately, unless it's some Everett and some dynasty leagues are discounted in deeper leagues, tight end premium, something like that. But otherwise, even drafting Everett out of the gate, it's going to be hard to start him in week 1 without knowing, what's going on. But and then they drafted. I always mix up all the tight ends that got drafted late that landed in bad spots, but they drafted a tight end in the 3rd round. So it's just like,
which is fairly high for a tight end.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't any big-time tight ends in this draft class. Cole Kmet was a 2nd-round pick. I don't know. I don't believe there were any other 2nd-round tight ends. New England started, New England, Troutman in New Orleans, the Rams, they started coming off around in the 3rd. So, as far as this draft class, like you said, that's pretty high. So, I don't know, man. It's a sticky situation. I think that Rams offense is definitely an interesting case study when we're heading into 2020, because they could look way different than what we saw the last few years.
Sure. So I'm gonna stay on the realm of these back end guys, because all the top guys are gonna get talked about all day long. So on this past show from the Fellas episode with co-host Seth, you talked about AJ Brown, and this is what you said: Brown is the only show in town. So peace among worlds. You people can't see it, but that just happened if you're only listening to the audio. So I picked up Corey Davis for a 4th in the league, and then I flipped him about an hour later for a 2nd Calvin Ridley. So I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
that wasn't my point of this.
I just wanted to find a way to put this awesome trade I made in the show.
But the reason I went and did throw a pick on him is because I think he has a lot more talent. Being the former draft he was, the still talent he is, and the community in general just hates on him. So why do you?
So when we were talking about him on the Fellas podcast, we were looking at 2020, and this is a run-first offense. Even though they lost a little bit on the offensive line, they're still going to run the ball. Derrick Henry is going to be, what this offense runs through. You have the kind of the fact too of, Ryan Tannehill had a tremendous second half. Even with that, there really wasn't anybody else there.
The unsustainable, as they
exactly. But even when in that period of time at the second half of the 2019 season, it was pretty much Brown. There wasn't really anyone else getting much fantasy love as far as putting up points or whatever. So for 2020, I do purely think it's AJ Brown, and that's really it. Just because I don't think there's enough room in this offense for two wide receivers to be fantasy relevant. So
well, you know what the real issue is, right?
What's that?
I don't know if you saw it yet, but Henry goes down in the third week with an ankle. Mm-hmm. Did you not see that yet?
No.
Yeah, it was on Twitter like crazy. It's going to happen. And then they're going to start airing it out. Corey Davis all day long. I agree with you. I think he's a good guy to stash on the end of your bench in a dynasty league.
Dude, I think the best thing that happened to Davis over the last year is that the Titans they didn't pick up his fifth-year option. Wasn't a surprise, I guess, but it's more than likely now that he's going to move on. He has, he's been, he was a fifth overall pick. So he's got some draft capital. He's still super young. He just turned 25 this year already. So, he'll be heading into the 2021 season, 26 years old. You just got to, depending on the landing spot, I think if you can get him for that price tag, you got him for a fourth, that's a 10-teamer. But still, I know I have a late third. I don't mind doing that, like just moving on with that. Get Corey Davis. It's a scratch-off ticket for next year. If he lands, somewhere poor or whatever, who cares?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw someone on Twitter that put a little thing out there that said, what if Corey Davis ended up in Green Bay? Which I think would be pretty sexy. Mm-hmm. Whoever their new quarterback is going to be, because,
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah, I do think, he's somebody that could land. He's obviously going to have to take a discount based off of his production so far. So, I mean, there's an opportunity then where he could land almost anywhere,
Yeah.
So
that little 1-2 year prove it deal and then work it from there.
I love it, man. So I loved the deal for you to pick up Davis on that. It's just for 2020, I like Jonnu Smith, as a talent. He's been somebody that I've just tight ends always just waiting. But even now, like Walker was pretty much out of the way last year and he didn't really do too much. Now we're going to go the full offseason knowing that Jonnu Smith is the guy. But even that, I have a hard time really buying in. Like, is he any different than Everett even, who we talked about, or this the Jarwin crew that'll be just down there at the in the 12 through 15 range? I don't know. So it's difficult to buy into this passing game, and of course AJ Brown is the new hotness. So everybody knows that.
I just love the way you said he was the only one in town. I don't truly believe he's the only talent in town. I just feel like he's the only one being pulled out of the wallet and swiped at the checkout line.
Yes.
Leave the other credit card.
Now it's a chip
wallet. Oh, that's right. I just use my phone. Google Pay. Hello. Can I get a sponsorship, Google? Google Pay. Hello. All right. You ready for some listener questions? I got 2 of them for you.
Oh, sure. Let's do it. Right. Nice.
I got one you know about and one you don't. So here we go. The first listener question comes from a listener of both of our shows.
All right.
Even though they listen to yours unintentionally.
Oh, hey, that's fine.
They listen to yours while I'm in the shower. This one comes in from E.T. Phone Mahomes. Yep, that's my wife.
I was going to say, hopefully everyone listened to that through. That's hilarious. Hopefully everyone listened to that through.
So this will be your 4th year playing. 4th season. Got the wife playing, the ladies in the couples league. It's
yes,
great.
Sir, man.
For your 4th year playing, she wants to know this. What makes Patrick Mahomes so great? Obviously, she thinks he's great because her team name is E.T. Phone Mahomes. It's her keeper the last 2 years in the league. So what makes him so great?
I mean, Andy Reid don't hurt. His offense is tremendous. Obviously, Mahomes, as far as his skill set, elite arm talent, the ability to remain mobile without, he doesn't rush for a lot of yards, but he can obviously put himself in good positions to extend plays. And you're also talking about a guy that, is in an elite offensive scheme, and he has two of the most elite weapons when you talk about, Tyreek Hill is his own animal. I don't care what anyone says about, three what?
Can't forget McCall Hardman.
Oh, get out of here with that. Tyreek Hill is his own animal, dude. So, and it's perfect. So, and then you got Travis Kelce, who is just obviously an elite tight end and can do things that nobody else can do. So, yeah, man, it's a perfect situation for him. His weapons have always been awesome. This offense has continued to just churn out fantasy numbers year after year after year. I think we'll see something kind of in between what we saw the last two seasons. 50 touchdowns, hard to replicate. But even last year, he missed 2 games, but he still only had 26 passing touchdowns. I think he'll be somewhere in that 33 to 35 range. And you could be happy with that. It's just
paying the cost.
The price tag. Yeah. 1 QB leagues, best of luck to you. And then in Superflex, that's a first rounder. You got, so you're paying up, but dude's a beast, and he's going to be for a while. So it's his world. We're living in it.
Yeah. I think I literally, what you're saying, I think I figured out why. One of the things that makes him he's a smart runner, and the fact that when he rolls out, you know how I feel like more often than not, he looks back at the ref.
Yeah.
I think he's looking if he threw the damn flag. Like, did someone hold? Do I need to stop running?
Can I give this a heave downfield now? Yeah. Because it don't matter or whatever. Yeah.
Here's a second question for you. This one's coming in on Twitter. One of my followers and a guy you might just know, Mr. Dan Cook, at his Twitter handle is at SeahawksDan8, the number 8, at SeahawksDan8. He's a great guy. Great podcast, the at IDP Nation. It's a great podcast, and he definitely has his hands full keeping his co-host Hollywood in line. That's a true story, right?
I hung out with those guys a couple weeks ago on their show, and damn, dude, they're fun, man. And Hollywood, he's good times, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll make an appearance on here one of these days.
Oh, I'm sure. Good people.
Yes.
So he says Sutton or Judy. I think he's attacking me in my Broncos. Sutton or Judy, who's going to have the more productive this season? Who's going to be more productive? Sorry, I read that wrong. Who's going to be more productive this season? Same idea.
Yeah. So unfortunately, and I don't want to always just lean on this.
You're going to yell at my quarterback?
I think what's going to happen is across the league, it's going to be very difficult for these rookies to acclimate. It's already a difficult thing to do to make the transition into the NFL. Judy is uber talented, and in Dynasty, I would take Jerry Judy over Cortland Sutton. I think Sutton's is a beast, and the fact that your Broncos loaded up on all these weapons,
they did.
Drew Lock has no excuse. They have given him every single opportunity. I think with all of these guys, they all have unique skill sets. Sutton is a downfield, big body threat. Judy's a hell of a route runner. Fant is a mismatch for anybody trying to line up on him. They gave him 2 good backs. I mean, and they've added some secondary pieces with Hamler and. Not even going to try bothering saying the other guy's name, but Albert O. But the thing when I'm just
they got running backs too,
dude. I loved the Gordon signing for you guys just because I think that he offers everything. I think it's misnomer that Lindsey is such a good pass catcher. He hasn't really added that part to his game yet, but because he's small, like everyone thinks he is.
Yeah.
But to those 2 wide receivers. I think Sutton this year is in for another big season, over 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns with that mismatched quarterback situation last year. I think he can put up at least, another 1,100, 1,200 yards. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits 8, maybe 10 touchdowns. I think he has that opportunity. Judy, I think, is just going to be in a tough spot of trying to get acclimated to this offense.
Yeah.
But once he does, man, I think I loved that you guys brought in Pat Shurmur as an OC. He has had success in this league pretty much, as an offensive coordinator. So I really do like both these guys long term. I think Judy's the guy long term. I think Sutton's one for 2020. And man, I was so surprised. I mean, I get it. Like this running back class is hot, but I mean, damn, dude, like Lamb and Judy. I mean, on both our teams, right?
Yeah.
Like they people are not even considering them most of the time inside the top 5 in one QB. And it's just like, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I think I think people are overestimating a little bit on Dobbins and Akers for me. I would take those wide receivers. And I think Judy being a little bit of the cheaper one probably too, even though I have seen him go as a wide receiver 1 in rookie drafts and a few I was in. He's got a lot of upside. So, and I think he's in an interesting spot. The quarterback situation isn't picture perfect yet, but I do like the situation around him.
Yeah. So asking for a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So who's your RB1 for this year's production? Yeah, if you have the 101.
Out of the rookie class?
Yeah, the rookie class.
Yeah. The running back 1 for this year is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, he's in a perfect scenario. His competition is pretty minimal. We loved all of these rookie running backs, and obviously we still do based off ADP, but it's crowded. It's crowded in a lot of these places. We didn't land. There wasn't anybody that landed in a picture perfect spot. No. There weren't a lot of seats anyway. But these guys all landed somewhere where, there's either somebody there, a veteran guy, or, Akers, I guess, is the only other one that could compare, but to Edwards-Helaire, I guess. But his game it just fits that offense perfect. I mean, I think he's already been drafted inside the top 12 in ADP for 2020 in a lot of places that I've seen. I mean, he's being ranked inside as far at the running back position. I mean, so I think he's pretty clear cut the top running back for 2020 when you're talking about this rookie class.
Yeah, that's fair. To be fair.
Yeah, the rich get richer, What the hell?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so here's a question that I'm think in preseason here. I'm gonna ask all my guests.
Sure.
Who is, and this is for redraft or for this season, however you want to say it, but it's for this year's finishes and mainly for redraft because that's what you think of this year's season, right? It's hard to rank dynasty because then you start putting in youth and all this other crap. But so individually, who's a quarterback, and then who's a running back, and who's a wide receiver that you can easily see finishing in the top 5 of their position, but you can probably draft beyond that, or obviously beyond that, but beyond the 13th or later.
So the quarterback for me that I'm going to hype up probably a lot. I think there's obviously some risk to it based off of the injury last year, but Matthew Stafford.
Yep, I knew you were going there.
Depending on where you're looking, man. I mean, I looked at CBS. ADP is kind of hard to find right now for a redraft. But Matthew Stafford, quarterback 19 off the board right now. That is insane value.
And he took off hot at the beginning of last season until he got hurt.
Absolute beast. He was on pace for 5,000 yards, just under 40 touchdowns through those first 8 games. New OC Darrell Bevel in Detroit. Just gimme that.
Yeah.
They didn't add a lot of pieces of the offense, so maybe the defense does get a little bit better because they did commit some resources there. And the back is tough. Yeah. But this is the first time Stafford's ever missed time. So, obviously late in his career, it's a little different. But I think, dude, Stafford, I mean, if his price tag goes up, he'll outprice himself for me. But, I mean, damn, if he's sitting there outside the top 15 at QB.
There's a lot of hot names that are going to keep him down, I think. He's, kind of like this is where my name issue comes in. I have a disease. Used to be the Chargers quarterback.
Oh, yes. Philip Rivers.
This is where your Philip Rivers, I'll just take him in the third, second to last round or whatever it comes in. It's just old reliable. He can ball out.
Yeah, I think the other guy too that, I think a lot of people are going to have some tough decisions on Burrow this year with that, just with the rookie hype a little bit, he's got some nice. Yep. Weapons. Absolutely. So Burrow, Daniel Jones is somebody that I'm really high on this year. I have him ranked around 15th, but his ADP is higher than Matthew Stafford. I would take Matthew Stafford over Daniel Jones. So I think, you probably knew I was going that route, but I love Matthew Stafford. Yeah.
Oh, he's earmarked on my on my list there.
He was top 5 in points per game last year. Like you said, he was on absolute fire. What did he go for in that trade? Was that you or was that Brendan?
I did not. He went for a second rounder.
Oh my God.
I know what he went for. Now that I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he went for a second rounder. Yeah. He'd be for a third.
I couldn't believe that. I was like, I didn't have any picks
in a super flex league for those who don't know what the hell we're talking about randomly.
Super flex league, 10-teamer, but
10-teamer,
I mean, still these quarterbacks are valuable, and I don't have a quarterback anymore. So at the time,
we'll talk after the show.
At the time I was like, damn, give me. Yeah. And I just didn't have the pick, and I thought he was kidding. Yeah. But that's awesome. I don't know, man. So, but Matthew Stafford, bro, QB, I dig it.
What about at running back?
This one's a little bit tough. I think that to finish top 5 is going to be.
Yeah, you got Saquon.
There's so many good guys in that top 10 that at quarterback, I think you can definitely see and even at wide receiver, you see guys kind of move in and out of that very top. You can have just, everything clicks in a year. At running back, I think that it's, if you're not in the top 5 in ADP, even the next 5 guys are the guys that are kind of fill those gaps. Yeah. So, and I don't think his ADP is going to stay here because I have seen him, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. But based off of CBS ADP right now, running back 15 is Miles Sanders. So we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the Fellas podcast. We went through my running back rankings. I do think that Sanders' upside is a little bit capped. So to say is it going to be the top 5, it could finish in the top 5 is a little tough when I'm, because it seems like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth.
No, but I think you're taking a shot with the what was it, 15th pick or whatever. You're not spending the 5th pick.
Right. So I mean, I think he definitely has some. I think he's going to be a running back 1 this year. If he's going to be top 5, it's going to be a little bit tough just because we haven't seen a running back get more than 210 carries under Doug Peterson in Philadelphia. But man, in those last 7 games, once Howard went down, they gave Sanders the reins. He killed it, and they didn't sign anybody of significance in free agency yet.
Right.
There's nobody really of significance out there now. Like if they signed Melvin Gordon, I wouldn't have been surprised. Right. Just because they've been 2-headed ever since Peterson's been there. They didn't draft anybody.
Freebird.
I'm not worried. Yeah, like that, I'd be fine with that. I'm not worried about that. So like Sanders is going to be the main guy. He's not going to see 350 touches, but if he gets up to 270, he's going to be good enough to be, top 10, and he could be. And I love the receptions last year too. That's a nice floor. So Sanders is the guy for me. There are a lot of names that I like at running back this year. It's just when you're looking at that upside, it's tough to find somebody with top 5 upside outside the top 12 in ADP.
Sure. I get that. That's why it was a challenging, fun question to me.
You have Sanders in a bunch of spots.
I do. Dynasty, right? I do. Yeah, I do.
do you have him? Is he one of your 5 million? Yeah, in cap. Damn, dude, you got a bunch of great values in that league.
Yeah. We'll stay off that though. That's the time for another time. I feel like Sanders' scenario is very much like Devante Parker's scenario. It's like things go right, it could be freaking amazing. Yeah. And if things don't go right, it could be a pretty ho-hum good finish, but average.
Sure.
So wide receiver, this one should probably be a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah. So I was going through here. When you sent me this, I was like, Calvin Ridley, pow. Like he's my dude, right?
Sure.
He was my dude last year. People are getting hot on him. He is now, at least, again, according to CBS ADP right now,
getting driven up.
He's in the top 12. I'm like, well, shit. Like, I ain't going to get him. I can't pick him here for this topic.
That's right.
So like, damn.
But you just did anyway. I love that when people do that.
I didn't take him. I kind of did.
Yeah, exactly.
But the guy that I'm going to pick, and again, I don't think this ADP is going to stick either. Kind of the same thing along the lines of Miles Sanders. But I'm going to go back to Detroit. Your boy,
Galladay. Thank you. Love Galladay.
Kenny Galladay, bro. Wide receiver 17 right now in ADP over at CBS. I think that does go up. He's going to be inside the top 15 for sure. Probably close to the top 12 in ADP once it shakes out. I think he's got some serious upside. I believe he was wide receiver 6 in half-point PPR last year. He was a beast. Finally got those touchdowns to come with, the targets that we saw. Wasn't a target monster, but the guy, he can get it done. He was on pace. This was on pace numbers. I did this in preparation for your fine show.
Thank you, sir.
With the 8 games with Matthew Stafford, extrapolate that over 16, which obviously is funky math, but gives you an idea. He was on pace for 70 receptions, just under 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns, and that would have broken down to 243 fantasy points and a half-point PPR. That would have been wide receiver 2. So, nice. Yeah, I mean, cut the touchdowns to more reasonable. That's fine. I think the 70 and 1,300 is doable. They didn't add anybody else there, so you're talking about, Hawkinson taking a step. Okay, I still think there's enough to go around. So I dig it, man. Galladay for me is right now. I think he's wide receiver 8 in my rankings without pulling it up in front of me, but he's top 10. So I think he's going to be a great value if he's sitting there outside the top 12 in ADP.
Yeah, definitely agree. I love some Galladay.
I wish I had some shares. I don't have any shares.
I traded one of mine away last year as well.
Oh man, dude.
And I just love saying his name when he scores those touchdowns. He is an absolute beast. Now, did I hear you right? I think I did. Did you just say that turning 8 games into 16, the hashtag math was difficult?
It's difficult.
Doubling was difficult.
It's difficult to buy into. I think you're.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was like, you're on a slippery slope. Oh, believe me, the best thing that happened to me this offseason was knowing that every time I talk about Matthew Stafford, I look at his stats and like, oh, that's up. That's 8 games. That's done. It's not like, oh, he played 12, so if he would have played 6, this was his pace. It's perfect. So I love that Matthew Stafford only played 8 games last year. Yeah. So it's I'll give these guys a plug just because I hung out with them last night. I was on with the Dynasty Warzone, and we talked Detroit Lions on that show.
Sure.
And damn, I think that offense is going to be really fun for fantasy. I hope Hawkins can take a step, but even if he doesn't, I love Stafford this year. I love Galladay. I think Marvin Jones is you talked about this for 2020 and you talked redraft. I still think you can utilize this information for Dynasty. Like if you're in a win now, go get Stafford. I'm fine with overpaying a bit. Just, when you have that championship trophy, ain't nobody going to remember what you paid, exactly right there. Damn it. But same thing with Marvin Jones. And by the time, if people hear me this offseason, they're going to know the name Marvin Jones because I think that he's going to be in for a really nice season. Paired with Matthew Stafford in that offense, he was on pace for a really nice year. So,
yeah, that was a question someone put out there. The most not disrespect, but you draft him here and he always finishes, 20 spots higher or whatever. And I had 2 people in my head. And the first one I said was Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
And the second one I said was on the Rams, Robert Woods.
Oh yes.
That was the answer.
Absolutely.
I think both of them could have qualified. So
I think that what we see with the tough part about Marvin Jones is like he has those like monstrous, like that one monstrous game. I think he had like
3 touchdowns.
Yeah, something nuts.
Yeah.
Right. But he's still good. The rest of those, he's still fine. It's just people see that and they're like, oh my God, an outlier games. Like, yeah, but look at, it's not, he's not Will Fuller out there. I do feel like Jones is a little bit more of a complete player. And he had a double-digit touchdown season in Cincinnati. Like he's been around for a while, so he's not sexy. People don't want him. But if I'm in a dynasty league right now and I can scoop him up on a cheap, and plug him into my wide receiver 3, that's perfect. There's a difference. When you're talking about Amari Cooper being a pain in your ass for 50% of the games and he's your wide receiver 1, that can get annoying. When you're talking about Marvin Jones being,
a freebie.
Yeah, plug him in. Done.
Yeah.
I got him in that startup super deep. I got him as my wide receiver 5. I'm just like, okay, I'm good. Sure. And weirdly enough, I have Robert Woods on that team too.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, I'm respecting these guys.
There you go. So before I let us go, I'm gonna give you one Marvin Jones scenario for the missus. So we're sitting there and she's in the league, and in about 2 minutes before game time, she's reading the blurb as it's told. She'll ask me for advice and I won't give it to her. I said read the blurb, babe. Mm-hmm. Make her do her own research, and so she ends up benching him 2 minutes before the game. She sits down. We're watching Red Zone. Marvin Jones touchdown. She's like, "Damn it, whatever."
It's 1. Who cares?
Yeah. So now she's like, you know what? I'm gonna make some cookies. So she can still see the TV. She can still hear. We're like, I don't live in a mansion. So she's making them, and I'm like, babe, another touchdown for him. What? I'm going to my room. I'm gonna read. He scores again. She's like yelling at the league.
Yeah.
on our group chat. It's hilarious.
Dude, that's I've lived through those painfuls, where you make that call and you just have to, yeah, man, you gotta really just decide. Like, I think Seth started doing this when we co-owned a lot of teams together over the last couple of years, and we'd be making a tough decision, and he'd literally tell me, he's like, well, I could live with myself if he was up on my bench, but I would kick myself if this guy, wasn't, started. So
Yeah.
sometimes whatever makes it more enjoyable,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if it's that damn close, go with what you're most comfortable with, and who knows what will happen, but that's hilarious, man.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna take us out here. So on our next show, I will have a special guest, Mr. Breezy B. He's a good buddy of mine from the Twitterverse, and we're gonna be covering dynasty rankings since many of you are still in the dynasty state of mind. Kyle, why don't you remind these people that have little built-in disease where they can find you?
Man, you can follow me on Twitter at KyleFFFellas. I'll post all my content there, obviously, but Fantasy Football Fellows podcast, Fantasy Pros, football content, NASCAR DFS. Apparently, hell yeah, it's back. And then
there you go.
And Red Shirts Fantasy Football right in there, a couple articles a month at least. I'm going to be breaking down some of the coaching changes from this offseason and taking a look at how it's going to affect these offenses. So going to be doing that series over there, and then hopefully still be doing that NASCAR DFS every week. So if you're just looking for a break, looking for something else, DraftKings, all it takes, you can play for free, play for a quarter, don't matter.
Sure.
Get, if anything else, follow me on Twitter, give me a click so they keep letting me do this damn thing.
There you go. Dude, it's been awesome recording with you. I appreciate it. I love it. The guy who brought me into fantasy football, that's a story for another time.
Yeah, we got to do that show. We got to do that show sometime.
We shall do that. And I can be found on Twitter at Bob's Three Toed. That is the number 3, not the word 3. And on YouTube at Bob's Three Toed Warriors. And that's all for this show. This has been Bob's Three Toed Warriors and special guest Kyle August from the Fellas, reminding you that soon enough you'll be able to hit the waiver wire, set your lineups, and dominate your opponents. Until next time, see ya.